Well, ladies, listen up. The vice president wants to know that he knows what you want.
How many of you are single women with children in a dead-end job? You want to stay in that job, or even though you can get health insurance absent that job?
Well, is that all true? I'm joined now by a panel of women. Caitlin Huey-Burns, a political reporter for Real Clear Politics. Abby McCloskey is the program director of economic policy at American Enterprise Institute. And Heather Higgins, president of Independent Women's Voice. Thank you all for being here today. Certainly, the vice president stirring it up with his remarks in terms of women. Is that real freedom to come out of the workplace and ask women to really remove themselves from a place that could offer some opportunity? Caitlin?
I think what the vice president was trying to say is what Democrats have been saying in light of recent reports that workers are going to leave the workforce if they're not dependent anymore upon their employment for health insurance. I think he was talking to an audience of women. We've seen from enrollment numbers that women make up a majority of those enrolled already. And I think he was trying to talk about the way Democrats are talking about giving more opportunity to perhaps, not be in a job if you don't like it because you're dependent on health care and enter the workforce in a different way. I think the problem, though, is whether and how they enter the workforce again.
Well, and how they exit the workforce. Abby, what was your take on his remarks yesterday?
I don't think it maximizes consumer choice at all. I think the ObamaCare actually tells women to stay at home and says if you stay at home, if your income is at 400% of the poverty line or below, we'll subsidize your health care. But the more you work, the more you earn, the more you join the economy, we'll take that away. So you'll work harder, but you'll get less. And this has the result of disincentivizing women from being in the workforce, especially low-income women, because they receive such a large subsidy for health care.
So you're saying, in other words, it sort of shackles them to remain out of the workforce because they don't receive the benefits that they would otherwise if they were to come back in and raise their income.
Yeah, it stacks a deck against them choosing not to work.
Okay. Heather, your reaction?
Yeah, there was a huge missed opportunity with Obamacare, which would have been decoupling health insurance from employment and creating opportunities for women to actually have more choices, not fewer choices. The vice president's spin is essentially like saying, your house is burning down, but that's okay. You'll have less housework to do. Trying to find the one nugget of maybe good things. And it's true that there's job lock for women and for men sometimes in dead-end jobs, but this is not the way to solve it. The reality is that's only a tiny part of the picture. There are vastly more women who are not going to have the jobs they want. They lose their choices on healthcare providers. They lose their choices on the types of insurance that they want to get. Their premiums go up. Their costs go up for many women, so they'll be working longer hours and finding that the whole point of the CBO report was not just the loss of jobs, but a lot of people being forced into fewer hours than they would like to work. So all those women who are at home because their job was eliminated or they're now a part-time worker, below 29 hours when they didn't want to be. These are serious and real costs that are destroying the choices of women. If there is a war on women, it is the Democrats and Obamacare that is waging it.
Your reaction to that, Caitlin, because this does seem as though if you look at the landscape, this is asking women to take themselves out of the workforce, with the option of dependence on government. To re-enter as a woman after you've had children is difficult. So you are looking at, maybe 2 to 10 years of women not being in the workplace because the vice president of the United States of America just told them their better option was to get out of the workforce after all that's been done in decades past.
I think if you look at the politics, we're in a midterm election year, and the president and Democrats are having trouble selling this law. And so what they're trying to do, especially in election year where women make up a bulk of their support, they're trying to talk about, this kind of thing in that context of expanding opportunity.
Abby?
Here's what I don't understand. The Obama administration has talked a really big game about reducing income inequality and supporting the working poor, but their hallmark legislation is a poverty trap, especially for women. We know that the best way for single moms, for vulnerable women to escape poverty, to escape welfare is to have a job, and that lets them climb the ladder of economic opportunity. Obamacare prevents that from happening for a lot of women.
Thank you all for a civilized debate today on this issue after it was stirred up yesterday. Caitlin, Abby, and Heather, my best to you from Fox and Friends. Coming up, do you want to reduce traffic? Don't let poor people drive. Where is that idea being thrown?